Come in.
Terry, guess what?
What?
Jack Egan was true to his word.
He discharged you?
Yep. My stay here as an inpatient is now ended. I'm officially discharged.
Ben, that's wonderful. Oh.
Now it's just a matter of time and therapy to see.
Hey, I'm trusting the Lord is going to give you complete use of your hand again. And we can't stop bugging him until he does, okay?
Okay. I'll just be thankful that the surgery went so well and not worry about the future.
That's the spirit.
I just wish Lori were here to share it. Do you realize, Terry, that the day after Thanksgiving is our first wedding anniversary?
Ben, I'm sure by Christmas Lori will be home. And that's something to look forward to.
I don't even want to get my hopes up for then.
And I don't want you to stop hoping for it, especially if we want the Lori we know to come back to us.
Terry, I want her home, but I also don't want to rush her recovery.
Lori needs more time to recover than either one of us expected.
I love your daughter very much.
I know you do.
And our first wedding anniversary is so important. I want her here. I want her home so I can show her how special she is to me.
It doesn't matter where the two of you are, as long as you're together, and you will be.
But still, Terry, to have Lori up there.
Ben, Scott and I celebrated our first wedding anniversary in a traffic jam.
What, are you serious?
Mm-hmm. We were on our way to his sister's lake cottage for the weekend. Well, we hadn't driven an hour when a truck, several cars ahead of us, went off the highway and hit a power line. Well, the driver wasn't seriously hurt, thank God. But we had to wait in the car until the repairman fixed the line before we could drive on. And it took all day.
The whole day?
And I had wanted that day to be so special. And it was, because Scott and I spent it together.
Has anyone ever told you how good you are at encouraging a person to count his blessings?
Well, if we don't keep a record of them, they'll go unnoticed and unappreciated. Ben, would I be imposing if Peter and I joined you and Lori for Thanksgiving? I mean, I've always thought of Thanksgiving as our family day.
Oh, are you kidding? Terry, I would love for all of us to be together.
The only thing Miriam has written down here is a dental appointment.
Let's see. Oh, and that was yesterday.
If she'd have been in the office at all, she would have seen the note that I left right there on her desk. And I've been calling all over Kingsley since you told me she was missing.
Oh, bless you, Vicky. I don't know, between the two of us and our calls, we should have been able to track her down.
I don't understand why the police haven't done more about this.
Oh, Sergeant Brubaker is investigating her disappearance now, but you know, he couldn't do anything for 24 hours until she was officially missing.
Well, what has he come up with so far?
Well, not even a clue. Harold Webster has even told his private detectives to look for her.
Wherever she is, I just wish she had that letter from her son. Almost every day she talked about how much she wanted to hear from him.
Eric's letter's still right there, and it'll be there waiting for her when she comes back.
I'm afraid. I keep thinking that the only reason she hasn't gotten it yet is because she's lying someplace, hurt her. I know. We can start to call the hospitals.
Vicky, Terry Davison and I checked every hospital within a 100-mile radius. And so far, no Miriam Mason has checked in there recently.
Well, what about anybody fitting her description?
Well, there was one, but it turned out not to be Miriam Mason.
Well, then the only thing I could think of is to contact her friends at Kingsley College. Her ex-husband was a professor there once, and his name is Dr. Paul Mason.
Oh, yes, she told me about it. But, you know, Miriam didn't have any friends at college. And, you know, she hated Kingsley the whole while she was married. Well, I'm sorry. You've been a lot of help to me. Vicky, I guess I should be running along now.
Mrs. Redlin, I read about people who are missing all the time. It's just that it's never happened before to anybody that I knew.
Well, our town is going through another set of growing pains. The last time we went through a phase like this, I stopped taking strolls alone after sunset.
But who would want to harm Miriam? The thought of anyone capable of doing something so awful like...
Well, Vicky, I'm sure...
Nancy!
Vicki, I came by to talk with you, but I guess you're busy.
Well, I was just leaving Nancy. I'll call you if I hear of
Okay,
anything.
Mrs. Revlin, thanks.
You take care of yourself.
I will. Thank you.
What was Ione Redlin, of all people, doing here?
She's still looking for Miriam.
She hasn't given up yet? Boy, I'm sick of hearing about Miriam everywhere I go.
Nancy! We have to find Miriam. Nobody knows what's happened to her.
Well, I know what's happened to Miriam, and no doubt she's probably strung out from a drug overdose somewhere.
She wouldn't do anything as stupid as take drugs again. She said so herself.
And you believed her?
Yes. Well, she is religious.
Well, don't let that fool you. I mean, she hasn't changed. She was addicted to pills. She was addicted to religion. I mean, she'd be addicted to a rock if she could get it down her throat. The woman just cannot cope with her life. I don't know, but, I didn't come here to talk about Miriam.
Oh? Why'd you stop by?
Well, I wanted to see if you wanted to go to the Castaway Bar tonight.
I don't think so, Nancy.
Oh, come on, Vicky. I mean, we might see something interesting. Like that hunk we saw the other night.
No, I'm just not really up to it tonight.
Well, you will be by the time we order. This may be our lucky night to find someone who's very rich and very handsome.
Well, I certainly wish that Miriam were more interested in how I'm doing.
She is. She spent hours here waiting during your surgery and while you were in recovery.
Really? I've been out of the recovery room for quite some time now. I suppose she feels that the hours that she spent long enough at my vigil?
That isn't true.
Then where is she? And why hasn't she been here to visit me?
I can't tell you.
Can't or won't? Mrs. Davidson, has Miriam told you that she doesn't want to see me anymore?
Of course not. She loves you.
Well, I must say I really couldn't blame her if she didn't want to come back to see me. My neglect of her since before I've been tied to this bed is pretty well known.
Miriam isn't blaming you for anything, Mr. Carpenter. She's told you that before.
I know she has, but I simply have to hear that from her again.
Well, you will. Soon, I hope.
Meanwhile, I lie here reliving these past several months of how I've disappointed my daughter. It's no wonder she turned back to Helen. Mrs. Davidson, do you suppose that Miriam did visit Helen in Canada after all, that she could have changed her mind?
Well, it's a possibility, but I don't think so.
You're being evasive again. Either Miriam is or is not still in Kingsley. Now, which is it?
You're asking me something I can't answer. I haven't seen Miriam today.
Mrs. Davidson, I am not trying to harass you. It's simply that I am quite accustomed to always being on top of the situation and anything that relates to me, my family, or my business. And I wonder if I ever will be again.
Mr. Carpenter, do you remember when I talked to you before about how the Lord handles every area of my life?
Yes, but you are young, and you still have time left to experiment with various lifestyles. I don't.
I know this sounds strange to you, but I have enough time because of the life I've chosen. I've been given eternity. God gives it to you when you give yourself to Him.
Why should I give Him my life? He's doing a pretty good job of trying to take it as it is.
He's not trying to take it from you. You're risking throwing it away, now and forever. When I leave the world, I know I'll live forever with Him.
You know?
Yes, I know.
Aren't you risking a great deal, Mrs. Davidson?
In what way?
Well, you can't blind someone and then guarantee that the first shot will hit the bullseye.
Well, I've never heard of my relationship with the Lord put in those terms before, but there is a guarantee.
And what is that?
Jesus Himself.
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
Jesus guarantees us eternal life if we believe that He's God's Son, that He died for our sins and that He rose from the dead. Now, my faith is based on those historical facts, and because of it, I believe all the rest of His promises to me, too.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you do, Mrs. Davidson. I'm sure you do, but I'm sorry. I'm just not ready to go to that extreme yet.
Mama!
Where is she?
I don't know.
Oh.
Ah, the kitchen. You hold these. I'll go check, see if she's in there. I will be right back.
Oh, these are nice.
Mom, are you here?
We bought you some flowers, and they're so beautiful.
Hey. I guess we're all alone, lady.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, now isn't that a shame?
Oh, did you plan this?
Come on, Carla, now you know I've been with you every second.
Oh, that's right, you have. How could I forget that?
Oh, no. But I'm glad you remembered.
Praise the Lord, I'm glad I'm not hallucinating.
Hey, Mom, how are you?
Mama, we didn't see you.
I can understand your apprehension about giving your life to the Lord. Miriam was the same way at first.
She was?
I think she said that she was afraid she'd wake up one day and not believe anymore. Then she'd want to discard God.
That certainly sounds like the Miriam I used to know. Very changeable, almost mercurial. Frankly, I just don't quite know where she is now.
In all honesty, haven't you seen an improvement?
Well, granted, she has more independence, but she's carried it to an extreme. She simply doesn't need me anymore.
We can never stop needing each other. Miriam knows that. She asked Jesus to be her primary support instead of you, that's all.
Well, if where she's living now is any indication of that, your Jesus is certainly a very poor provider.
She couldn't go on the way she was. I mean, her dependence on drugs was fearful.
I don't even like to think about that anymore. There was a time when I didn't actually think she was going to pull through that, and I was absolutely helpless.
Do you know who she said convinced her that she didn't need drugs anymore?
No?
Ione Redlin.
That woman?
Ione showed Miriam first how to live before telling her. And then after telling her, she didn't advise her on how to at all. She just suggested a reason why.
I can't possibly see what she could say to Miriam that would benefit her in place of the finest medical attention.
Jesus didn't die for you to commit suicide, she said. Jesus wants you alive.
Mrs. Davidson, I have always made allowances for every possibility. Now, someday I may accept your recommendation.
Someday, Mr. Carpenter?
In my business dealings, I always was very cautious whenever I was confronted with something I wasn't familiar with. And it became a rule, a base for my career.
Well, if you want to hear any more about the deal Jesus offers, let me know.
Well, some other time, perhaps. But right now, I think I'm tired.
Yes, of course. You must rest.
And, Mrs. Davidson, as soon as you see Miriam, tell her that I would like to see her.
I'm so glad you two have come to your senses.
Yes, we have.
Yep. You know, Mom, you were right as usual. Carla and I finally figured out that all we needed was to talk things out.
Well, you know, sometimes a good conversation can be a cure-all for what ails you.
Well, Gene and I decided that we're not going to be afraid to tell each other everything from now on.
And you're going to stick to that agreement, I hope.
That's right. You can count on that.
And we're even going to have Jimmy do the same thing.
Oh, that boy will agree to anything if he knows you and Gene will be together.
Hey, you know, when he comes home, we're going to celebrate. I've never known little Jimmy to turn down a banana split.
Neither does his mother.
Well, Gene, maybe you want to hold off on that until tomorrow. I think he has a basketball game. He's trying out for the Little League.
Basketball? I can't keep up with that little knucklehead.
Well, he's just like you when you were his age, you know, always doing something.
Yeah, but we have to be careful that he doesn't slip in his grades. I mean, with all this extracurricular activity. You know, he started classes late when he came back from Lake Tahoe.
Oh, yes, but I believe he's handling his studies pretty well.
No more notes from the teacher?
Not a one. Do you know he showed me an essay he had already prepared, and you can just about guess what it was about. basketball. But do you know he got an A in it?
Whoa! Hey, my Jimmy! Wow! Hey, Mom. You know, we may have ourselves another journalist in the family.
Yeah, maybe we should get him a present to encourage him to get more A's.
Yeah.
Carla, that's a good idea. But why don't you wait till Thanksgiving and then the whole family will be here?
Ah.
Mom, why do I get the feeling that you're planning yourself a big Thanksgiving?
Mom, you're not planning on doing too much now, are you?
I'm not doing that.
Well, is there something else bothering you?
Well, I'm just a little concerned about Miriam.
Yeah.
They haven't found her yet, huh?
No, and I've looked all over Kingsley for her.
Mama, look, I think really you ought to let the police handle this from now on. You've already done enough, Mom.
Well, Sergeant Brubaker's still looking for her, but, you know, I just can't sit still and do nothing.
Mom, I'm sure Miriam's going to show up sooner or later. And when she does, I'm sure she's going to come right back here.
Oh, I hope so. She knows she always has a place here in Babs, too.
Plus anybody else that wants to live here.
Well, I certainly will. As long as I've got a spare room, they can just keep coming.
You aren't gonna change, are you, lady?
No, too set in my ways.
Boy, I tell you, then, here. Mama, these are for you.
Gee, they're lovely. You know, I saw these when I came in, but I thought they were for Babs or that you gotten them for Carla.
No, we picked these out just for you.
Oh, gee. That's the nicest thing anybody's done for me in a long time.
Thanks, lady, for everything.
Terry. I mean, there's Brubaker talking to me like I'm some kind of common criminal.
Nancy, he only wanted to know if you knew anything about Miriam.
Well, I'm not her babysitter. I don't know where she is.
Nancy, are you sure you haven't seen her in the last couple of days?
Yeah, I'm sure. What's with you? I mean, you're starting to sound like Brubaker.
Well, when Ione and I went over all the possibilities of where she could be, he said that...
Wait a minute. I know you went to see Brubaker, but did you and Ione Redland go and see him before he asked to see me?
Yes.
Well, I just bet you did, didn't you? I mean, no wonder he's asking me all these questions. You're the one who set this up.
I didn't set him up for anything.
Oh, I don't believe you. I mean, you may have everyone else convinced that you're some kind of saint, but I'm not going to fall for it, Terry. I know you too well.
Then you should know that I don't do anything in an underhanded way.
Well, you just tell me, then, that you didn't mention my name to Brubaker. Go on, and I'll even take your word for it.
All right. I did remind him of your past relationship with Miriam.
Remind him? You must have done more than remind him. He's trying to pin her disappearance on me.
Nancy, if you could see how worried everybody is about Miriam, you know how important it is that they get every bit of information they can.
Yeah, poor Miriam, poor Miriam. It's like a broken record.
Nancy, Mr. Carpenter thinks that she's abandoned him.
Oh, he does he? You talked to him?
Yes.
Well, how is he? I mean, he had his surgery and that, did he?
Yes, the bypass, and it was very successful. And he's shown significant improvement in spite of the fact he's worried about Miriam.
Oh, well, I'm glad that he's feeling better. Did he ask about me?
No. Well, I'm sure that Miriam is uppermost on his mind now.
No, as usual.
You could help him and Miriam if you could think of any place that she might be.
Why should I?
Because it's the decent thing to do.
The decent thing to do? You know what the decent thing to do is to just... I wish I'd never met Miriam. I hope she stays lost.
Nancy!
Well, if it wasn't for her telling Charles lies about me, I would be married to Charles now.
Can't you think of somebody else besides yourself for once? Miriam needs your help.
Oh, yeah, I'll think of Miriam. I'll think about her when I'm telling Vicky to fire her.
Fire her? You wouldn't.
You know I would. Vicky has every good reason to fire someone who doesn't show up for work. And Miriam is just like anyone else.
Don't tell me. I can see it by the look on your faces.
What?
You two are back together again now, aren't you? For good?
What gave us away?
Well, there's this smile that's about a foot long on all three of your faces.
Well, Babs, honey, you can't keep a lid on joy.
Especially when it's a long time coming.
Yeah, well, just don't blame me if you wake up tomorrow morning and your faces are all sore from grinning so much. Actually, I could have used a little bit of that joy at work today.
You had a hard day at Mr. Webster's office, didn't you?
Oh, the pit.
You sure you were in the right office? The office where you say only you could do the work right?
It's not the work that's hit rock bottom. I just feel like I'm getting to the end of my rope, you know? If I could just talk some sense into Harold. Oh, forget it. I'm just running off at the mouth.
Well, maybe you ought to tell us what you're running off the mouth about, lady.
Well, honey, I got the right thing just to make you forget all about that office.
What's that?
Well, come on out in the kitchen and help me with dinner.
Dinner? Oh, you go ahead. Start without me. I'll be along later.
Mom, I need some help. I'll get up and help you.
Oh, no, Carla, you just sit right there. You just sit right there, and Paps and I can handle it.
No, there's something special I want to make for Jimmy anyway.
Oh, no.
Come on. Come on.
Well, all right. Hey, Babs.
Huh?
What's up?
What do you mean?
Come on, out with it, lady.
Gene, I am up against the wall.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You remember that guy that I was looking for, the prince?
Yeah.
Well, I found him.
You found him?
Yeah, I found him, and I told him about being one of Ronnie's girls.
Huh?
And about how Ronnie was skimming profits and about the books and all that.
Wait. Now back up just a second here. You haven't told me who the prince is yet.
Oh, forget it, Gene. I can't tell you that.
Babs.
Look, I'm taking a big enough chance as it is. I mean, he wants the proof that Ronnie's double-crossing him.
Well, you have it, don't you?
Well, sorta. It's just that it ain't exactly in arm's reach right now.
Babs, you said you had those photocopies and the ledgers of Ronnie.
I was straight with you, Gene. I did.
What do you mean you did? Where are they now?
Well, I took your advice and I put him in a safe place. The only thing is, the place I put him in wasn't as safe as I thought it would be.
Oh, gosh. Well, exactly where did you put him?
I can't tell you that.
Babs, what can you tell me?
Look. I can tell you what's on my mind right now, and you probably already know what it is anyway.
Oh, stop that. You know I never know what you're thinking.
I'm thinking that I had better get out of town and fast. I am living on borrowed time as it is.
All right, now listen. You sure you can't get your hands back on those ledgers?
The only way I'm going to get my hands on those ledgers is if they walk through that front door right now.